You're listening to Empire by Design, episode 81.
Hey, I'm Katie White, coach, consultant, transformation facilitator, action taker, empire builder, and this is Empire by Design. In this show, we're building empires, we're sharing stories, and we're getting up close and personal on the strategies that make an empire in today's online world. Get all the show notes, past episodes and more at katiewyatt.me. For now, settle in for the ride.
Hey Empire Builders, welcome back to the show. In this episode, we are going to be doing another live coaching call with the amazing, gorgeous productivity super genius Claire Barton of the Recovering Perfectionist podcast. So let's jump into it and get on with the show. Hello Empire Builders, happy Tuesday. I hope that you're well. I hope you're having a great week. Thank you so much for joining me. If this is your first time discovering the Empire by Design podcast, then welcome. I am your host. I'm a business and podcasting coach, very obsessed with the podcasting platform, and I teach podcasting to entrepreneurs with my course and Podcast Empire membership community. So we're so glad to have you. We're here to build empires together, whatever that means for you. We are this episode doing another live coaching call. This is now the third that I've done, and I've got a couple more being recorded over the next coming weeks. I'm having so much fun doing them, and I'm getting just amazing feedback from all of you. So it's definitely a format that I'm going to keep going with. I did promise you in last week's episode that this week's show would be a solo show about a framework that I think we all need to be thinking about in terms of as an alternative to the customer avatar. So I am going to do that next week. I haven't forgotten you. It's just that I recorded this episode with Claire today, and I was just really keen to get it out there because I think that you'll really enjoy it. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight in. Oh, what I did want to say is if you're enjoying these live coaching calls, I have put them all together on my website so that you can go and find all of them at once if you just want to binge on them. And if you go to my website, katiewyatt.me, and up on the menu bar is a category called Pod Series, and in that drop down is the live coaching calls. So if you jump in there, you'll see the three that including this one that have been released so far. And if you're in the podcast app, I do have live coaching call at the start of the podcast name. So you can just scroll down the feed and find these episodes. They're all fairly recent ones. So without further ado, let's jump in and hear from Claire Barton. Welcome to Empire by Design, Claire. Yay!
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. You are a fellow podcaster on the Recovering Perfectionist, which is a divine podcast. And you're part of you're a Podwell alumni, and you're part of my current podcast Empire community. So yep. We hang out a lot.
We do. We move in a lot of the similar circles. We bump into each other online a lot. And I get to finally meet you in person in a couple of months too.
Oh, I know. I'm so excited for that. It's going to be too cool. I'll be out because you're in Brisbane already, aren't you?
I am. Yeah.
We'll be up in your town.
Yay.
Yay. So thank you so much for coming along and doing this session with me. So tell me, let's talk about your business first of all. What do you do? How do you work with people? All of those sorts of things.
Okay, so I'm a planning, productivity and business coach and mentor. I mainly work online, although my business model is changing a little bit at the moment. So I'm still doing one-on-one sessions online. It's still the main part of what I do, usually in about 6 to 8 week blocks. So we do everything from getting things systemized and organized and automated to make businesses a bit more efficient and effective, make sure that people are working on what's actually moving them toward their goals and that sort of thing. I'm starting to do a lot more workshops. So in person, half-day workshops, and there'll be 2-day workshops coming towards in the second half of the year as well. And there's a 12-week mastermind on the cards. I haven't officially launched it or started accepting people into it or anything like that just yet, but it's on the way. So they're sort of the main things. And then on the content side, I've obviously got the podcast, and I do blogs and videos, and I run an online Facebook community as well. So that's it in a nutshell.
Awesome. So the one-on-one and the workshops and the mastermind to be are all around the themes of building systems and productivity and planning.
It's really around productivity and planning, I suppose, is the kind of core reasons for it, and it's all kind of through the filter of the recovering perfectionist, because I know that a lot of people who are either trying to get started in business or trying to launch a project or trying to get started on something within their business, there's this overhanging fear or procrastination sort of thing because of perfectionism or 1,000 other things. I just really want to give people a bit of a shell, a bit of structure, so that they can swing their legs out of bed in the morning and know exactly kind of what's on the cards for that day or that week, so that they can not have to be thinking about it every second of the day, and making sure that they're working on the right things for the right reasons, and then that all of those things that they're working on are happening efficiently, so that I guess it probably comes down to the most important thing is that they've got more time and they don't feel like they're working as hard, and they're making really great money and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's all sort of through those filters.
And what type of person, I mean it sounds like it's mostly entrepreneurs, but what sort of stage or what's the common thread you see around the people that come and work for you?
Really good question. When I first started, I thought I wanted to just work with people in pre-startup or startup mode of their business. But what I've ended up working probably more with about 75% of more established businesses. So people who've been in business for maybe 5 to 10 years, and they've either gotten big and busy enough that their systems haven't quite sort of kept up and they're not supporting them in what they do now, or they're either creatives or intuitives or healers of some sort, and they're looking to go into more leverage products. So they're used to seeing people one-on-one or doing that kind of transactional time for money, and they're ready to start leveraging. So they're needing some other systems that can kind of help support them so that they're not having to do, umpteen thousand things every single day. And I guess probably the common thread with the people I work with is overwhelmed. So they're either kind of new, or they've got new ideas, or they've got big ideas and so many of them and don't really know where to start, or they're in that sort of change mode and they again don't really know where to start or don't know what to do next. Need a bit of accountability and a bit of a structure and a bit of plan, and mainly just, I guess, some confidence to know that it doesn't have to be as hard as I think sometimes we build it up to be.
Yeah. And do they recognise I guess there's almost two sides to it. Do they recognise the problem that they're in and the solution? Like, how do they kind of get to the point of going, it's actually systems that I need, or it's organisation that I need, versus it's something else that I need?
I think there's probably two answers to that. And the first is that people start to feel like they're not getting anything done. Like they're starting to feel like I've got time, and I get to the end of the week and I feel like I've done nothing. I feel like I haven't ticked anything off my to-do list, or I feel like there's these big projects and I'm just kind of whistling away at the tiny little things. I'm not kind of, moving on to the next step and that sort of thing. So they know that they need some help. Really, just people use the words like, I just need to get organized, or I just need to get I just need help with, moving forward or something like that. But a lot of people say the words like, I don't know where to start. That's one of the big kind of phrases, like, I just don't know what to do next, or whatever. Or they're at the point where they're just over it and they don't want to do it anymore because it all feels too hard. So I guess that's one thing. On the other side, there's a lot of talk about systems and structures and apps and tools and that sort of thing, and resources, that everyone's using some sort of automated booking system. Everyone's using some sort of mail automation system. Everyone uses something to schedule their social media posts. So people know that those sort of things exist, but then if they're not a technical sort of person, it just feels too hard to A, have to learn a whole new system, and B, have to do the work that kind of leads into and is after that. So they need someone to show them how kind of easy it can be, because most of those systems are really, really easy to use once you've seen which buttons to press in person and that sort of thing. So it can be as simple as that. And now when I first started my business, I thought I was a really technical person, and I quickly learned I'm not a really technical person. I'm good at picking things up quite quickly, and I know enough to get through. And I really want to show people that's really all you need to be able to set up some really easy systems and processes. And I don't really like using the word systems and processes, because people go, "Ew, I don't want systems. I don't want processes."
Not
very creative. I just want to do it at the time. But it's not a very sexy word. But when people see how easy it can be to spend like an hour doing social media for a month, rather than having to go and, you sit down on Wednesday morning, you're like, oh, what have I got to post today? But you can actually be a bit more planful about it, and it takes the stress out of it, and it takes the time out of it. And then often what we end up doing is outsourcing. So I help people find someone for their team, whether it's a VA or a bookkeeper or someone like that, and then help them set up a system so that they can still get the processes done to their standard in their time frames, and so that it's still working for them, and they can have the confidence that they're not kind of giving away the bank, and they're not going to have to pay hundreds of dollars per hour to get some of these things done. We start with baby steps. We do things like social media or some design work or something like that. But if it kind of goes wrong, it's not the end of the world. But when they see that it doesn't go wrong, and it only costs them, minimal amount of money to get that set up, and how much extra time that's freed them up for, it's a no-brainer. So we do a lot of those sort of things in the background, and I'll try and think of sexier words to tell people about what the outcome's going to be, rather than talk about boring words like systems and processes.
So what is when you do the helping with the outsourcing, so finding a VA, for example, do you make money from that?
I don't anymore. I did, all of last year was, I called 2016 a massive experimentation year in review for me. So I did completely by accident end up doing that sort of thing. I'd said from the start, I don't want to end up being an agency. I don't want to kind of end up doing that. But then when I was working with my clients who were very established businesses, they needed someone, and they didn't really want the rigmarole of having to find their own people. And I was like, oh, well, I've got people, so you can just use mine. And then I was, kind of outsourcing that. For me, it wasn't the direction I wanted to go in. It wasn't very profitable. It just didn't feel like a right fit. So I've changed the structure of that in the last couple of months. And now I have a team, and I'm happy to share those people, and people can, engage them individually. But I'm also, I've got a recruitment background as well. It was one of the many thousand things that I used to do. So I can also help people find the right people, or, help them articulate what the jobs are that they need doing. And then I guess the main thing that we kind of do is work on the SOPs, totally unsexy word for standard operating procedure, which is like how you do a thing. So anything that's a repeatable process, we would set up a SOP, and then we can hand it over, so that when someone starts, they know exactly what to do. They can just follow the steps. Well, that's one way of doing it. Some people just like to get a VA or whatever and let them sort it out. And there is totally, both of them are totally okay. It's just wherever your comfort level lies and what experience level of the VA is that you get. And sometimes it's a bit 50-50. Like I'm so comfortable with my team that a couple of them I'll say, we need to start doing this. Can you have a go at it? And can you document the process? And then we'll refine it from there. But I've only done that after, we've been working together for quite a while, and she knows my standards, and she knows what I like and what I don't like, and all of that sort of thing. So yeah, it's there's merits in both ways of doing it.
So am I right in assuming that most of your income and most of your time would come from one-on-one and be spent on one-on-one?
It is at the moment, yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I'm looking to leverage that more into the workshops this year, but yeah, definitely the one-on-one stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me where you would like us to focus today. And I know, when we talked about this a while ago, you had one thing you wanted to talk about, but if that's changed, that's fine. Like, what would you like to?
So I guess my two questions, the main burning question for me at the moment is to, I guess, make sure that the podcast is forming a really great part of my sales funnel up at that top level, the free level, and where conversion kind of goes after that, and what happens with the people who are listening to my podcast, with calls to action and all of that sort of thing. So where it kind of sits and the reason for it. One thing I've realized, and I've had a bit of feedback on from a few people lately, is like, we really like your interviews, but we really want to hear more from you, and we want to know more about you and what you do and all that sort of thing. So I haven't started doing solo shows except for my intro episode. So I guess that's sort of something for me to start doing more, or start doing. But what sort of structure, because I don't necessarily, I don't know if I should sort of double up on things that I'm doing Facebook Lives on and just do an extended version for a podcast, or is it like a module from the workshop or from the online course that I do as a whole episode or something like, or if it's something a bit more connective and personal, I don't really know. So all of that sort of thing. And then the second question I had was around, when do you know if you need to start a second podcast or just do like a mini series within your podcast? So they're my burning podcast questions.
Is there a mini series in your mind?
I guess so. There's a couple, but one in particular is around the parenting side of things, and whether it's pure parenting or if it, to me, it's kind of all mashed up together. It's sort of that mompreneuring thing, like lessons I've learned from my children about business, that sort of thing. So it's still within the realms of what I do, but it's quite specific to the mum side of things, which I feel like could become a huge its own thing. I don't know if I necessarily want it to, but yeah. I want to make sure that the people who are already following me are getting value and not getting bombarded with mumpreneur stuff if that's not what they signed up for, and vice versa. So
okay. Yeah. So let's talk about the funnel first of all. How many episodes have you done on your podcast?
It's about 16 live, and I've got another 3, I think, that I've already recorded, and I'm recording another 5 this week. So it'll be just over 20 shortly.
So ideally, what is your podcast going to do for your business?
I suppose my initial 2 probably top plans, goals for it was to reach more people, and to serve more people, and to show it. Obviously, it's called the Recovering Perfectionist, and it's definitely through the filter of business, starting and success in business. And I want to reach more people so that people have the confidence women especially have the confidence to go, oh, well, I don't have to have it all figured out. I don't have to have it all perfect. I don't have to have the perfect business plan. I don't have to have the $20,000 to start. Like, I don't have to have the beautiful branding. I don't have to have everything figured out before I start. I can actually just get started and figure it out along the way. So if people say, oh, that sounds like a pretty good idea, maybe I'll just give it a try, that sounds like a win to me. Like, if I've had a friend who's listened to it and she's like, oh, I wasn't sure about starting a business, but now that I've listened, I know it doesn't have to be as hard, so I'm just going to give it a try. That's a massive win for me. That would be the best outcome. So reaching more people to help them and to sort of spread that message is definitely number 1. And number 2, I guess it's really within my business, I think it's a really great profiling and kind of helping my profile as an expert in that sort of field. Same as like writing a book, or sort of that bit of credibility. And I also, like, a big part of my strategy this year, or a big part of my goals this year, is to do lots more public speaking. So it's kind of a nice little safe foray to kind of do that. It's public enough, but it's still, I can still do it from my home and my bedroom. Yeah. My kid's bedroom is where I am today.
And it is a great, for anyone, I think it's a great, almost like a portfolio of your, that you can demonstrate your ability to speak, your ability to interview, your ability to produce something. So, I think it does that definitely. So 16 episodes and, a couple of months. It's not a huge amount of time yet, but have you seen any impact from the show that you can, on your business or on your Facebook group or wherever, that you can link directly back to the podcast?
The Facebook group, definitely. I think I would love to know more statistics, and I should probably do a bit of a poll or something But I think probably maybe 25% of people who are in my Facebook group have probably come from the call to action from listening to the podcast. Like, they're completely new. A lot of them are overseas. So I feel like that's probably where they're coming from. And I do get a lot of really great feedback about the podcast and about shows that people have listened to. It's also on YouTube, so that's not getting a great deal of traction, but some people have commented on the videos and that sort of thing. I don't think it's translated financially yet. Although anyone who's coming into my group is probably also more likely to be in my tribe and more likely to buy or to sign up for some one-on-one or a course or something like that. So I'm going to say yes, but it's kind of a touchy-feely yes. I haven't got some hard stats on that.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's often all we have, is that feel for it. I suspect that the way that you're running the show at the moment is probably fulfilling that that purpose around reaching more people and showing people that, you know, like you said, showing people that it's okay to do this or it's safe to do that, or giving them the kind of confidence to take a step in that direction of business, or, you know, and it's really the permission around perfectionism, being okay with who we are and where we're at, all of those things. I think the interview format is doing that for you. What I suspect it's probably not going to do as well, I mean, as you identified, people are coming into your group, they're responding to that vibe, they're getting to know you. So you're definitely accelerating them along that know, like, and trust process. So they're, you know, they're knowing you, they're liking you, they're coming into your group, they're trusting you, they're very likely to be future buyers. But if our intent is to close that gap and make, you know, almost convert people to buyers more quickly, because you're investing a lot of time in the podcast, they're not, you know, simple and pain-free things to create, then I think there's some things we can do with that. But my question then would be around, would you be wanting the listeners to your show to be good candidates for your mastermind, your workshops, or your one-on-one? And do you find, so this is a two-part question, so maybe we'll ask the second part first. Are you finding, I know you haven't offered the mastermind yet, but with the workshops that you're doing, because from memory, you're doing those all over Australia, aren't you? Yeah. So are you finding that the people that are buying the workshops are people that have also done one-on-one with you, or are in your Facebook group? Like, where are they coming from?
Good question. They're probably people who I've had something to do with before, either in a one-on-one capacity, or they've jumped on a webinar, or we've done discovery call, or they've got my planner. I've got that 2017 weekly planner as well. So yeah, that's a really good point. Actually, they probably have largely worked with me before. With my, I've kind of got loose plans around trying to attract more of a cold audience, so doing Facebook ads and that sort of thing for some of those workshops as well, just to try and attract some new people and, you know, get the message out there a little bit more. But yeah, that's a really good point. So far it's been people who already know me.
And that's not a bad thing, because it means that your business model is, you know, it's stacked. It makes sense that, you know, a person that buys from us once are much better value, and it's much lower effort if they buy multiple things that we have on offer. So it's kind of, you know, having that sensible staggering of our products. And I suspect you've got that. So where would you know, what would be best for you? Because obviously your lowest entry point product would be the planner, but that's not really something that, you know, it's a very kind of time specific.
That's right. Yeah.
So, you know, if you could have a specific call to action on your podcast that was about working with you, what's your priority at the moment? Is it filling the workshops, or is it filling your one-on-one?
That's a really good question. At the moment, my call to action is just to join the Facebook group. So look, probably the one-on-one, I think, given that I've just answered the question that most people are joining the workshop after they've done a one-on-one. So often what people will do is they'll do a 1 or 2 hour intro session, and then they'll sign up for like an 8-week program or something like that.
But it's still one-on-one.
It's still one-on-one.
Call it a program. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So potentially the call to action could be to do a one-on-one intro session, like just a 1 hour or something like that. And then I guess they have the choice of whether they want to go into the workshop or do some more ongoing work. However, the workshop, because it's just a half-day workshop, will probably be a lower price point than just doing 1 hour one-on-one. So maybe for a more passive call to a more passive medium like a podcast, a call to action for a cheaper product would be better.
Not necessarily. It just really depends on how we position it. So I quite like the one-on-one as the offer, because you can really package that as a complete solution, as in we'll spend 60 minutes or we'll spend 90 minutes together. You will get these 2 or 3 outcomes. This is what we do beforehand, and this is what you'll walk away with. I think that, makes sense as a package, and then that can be the point at which you kind of divert people to the next logical step in working with you. And it might be that it's the mastermind because they can't afford one-on-one, but they might like a group environment, and that's assuming that the mastermind is a little bit cheaper than one-on-one. I might be wrong there. And the workshop might make sense. And the workshop won't make sense for everybody because the workshop's not in every person's location, right? So I think that the one-on-one, that first session, and being able to really clearly articulate what that is as a standalone product is a really good place for you to start. But what I think then you need to be thinking about for the podcast is, well, how do I get people very quickly wanting that from me? And I don't think interviews on their own, they'll do it, but they'll do it in combination with your Facebook group and all of the other stuff that you provide. Whereas I think that if we get more specific about the content you create on the podcast, that could convert quite quickly.
So a bit more specific about the sort of content that I would do in a one-on-one or in a series of one-on-ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, you mentioned the funnel at the start, and it's the entry point of the funnel. So if the goal of this funnel that we're discussing is to get somebody to purchase a one-on-one with you, then what are we going to do at the start of that funnel? And there's probably a few ideas. So, it's like thinking about any opt-in, really. Like what is the step before people come and work for you? I keep saying work for you. Work with you. Sorry, it's like a Freudian slip today. What is the logical step beforehand, and how can you kind of move people across the line and give them a feel for what you do? So one example would be doing very much like what we're doing now, is actually a live coaching call where people can see and hear and taste and touch what you do for another person in that type of session. Hardly anyone is doing them on podcasts, and I know that I've said this to you as in the Empire community before, but they are insanely effective because they are a try before you buy. They literally, you cannot record a coaching call and release it and not have somebody that listens to it not get a very clear view of what it's like to work.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that is the golden standard at this point in time of podcasting if you are wanting to sell coaching. So I think that's one thing that you really should think about. The other things are more, you could walk through like a more of a solo approach of walk through like how you go about looking at somebody's business? Like, what is the framework? Because I'm sure you kind of go through a step-by-step process. You might not even know that you're doing it, but I'm sure you do, because you probably, that's where the 8-week programs come from, of logically what I'm looking at in your business. And if there's enough content there, you could turn that into an 8-week series, almost like not the DIY version, but the understanding the fundamentals of what makes a business, but said sexier than that. Because that's ultimately what you're doing, right? You understand, you get, because of the way your mind works, how the foundation of a business is set up. And you can very easily, I'm sure, look at somebody's business and they're just thinking, why is nothing working? And you're looking and you go, well, it's because that pillar is missing.
Yes.
I can see that very clearly. So I think if you could almost map that, and I'm sure you have mapped it, but turn it into a mini series so people get value from it. They're so like, oh, okay, there's 8 pillars, and I've made up 8. There's 8 pillars, and I've got that pillar going. Well, it's almost like an ability to assess where you are at, because I'm listening to you describe what the pillar is, how you know when it's working well for you, the sorts of tools that help you with that pillar, how you know when it's not working, like what are the pain points that people will experience, because you might just go, I feel completely overwhelmed. But when you drill down into that pillar, you're like, well, if you're feeling like you're overwhelmed, but it's all, you're feeling this, that's probably a pillar 1 problem.
Yes,
so
it does.
I feel like that could be a really, really cool solo series that you do. And you could case study. You could put little case studies within that, where you're reflecting on clients that you've worked with, that, you've worked on that particular pillar with them. So you're kind of giving, you're raising your own credibility. You're sharing your experience and demonstrating your authority, because you're really good at this stuff. I just think it's not coming through in your podcast.
That's a really good point. And I should have mentioned before too, I've recently, as in last week, outlined the 12 chapters for a book. So that's going to be, I've penciled in a book launch date and everything now. I just have to write it. But that's really interesting, because it is literally 12 parts, that some of them are very strategic and very activity kind of focused, like creating content or doing social media or whatever. And some of them are more around mindset and your support mechanisms and that sort of thing. So that just would work so beautifully to have a mini series almost on each of those chapters, and then probably there's series within each of those chapters as well. But that's that work, I've already done that. I've already kind of outlined that, and that will, the 12 chapters of the book is what will become the half-day workshop and the 2-day workshop and the 12-week mastermind and all that sort of thing. Like, it's kind of already mapped out. So that makes really beautiful sense.
And so then the one-on-one becomes, I will identify through my own framework what you need, and we tailor that solution to you and your business. So we might not cover all 12 aspects, but that's because you're paying for the premium, done for you. I walk you through what you need and nothing more and nothing less. So that's kind of the premium offer, and then you've got all of these other things that spring off, but it's all from the same core philosophy and framework. And it's interesting, because even though we spend quite a bit of time together, because we're on, we have like monthly calls and you're on most of them. I'm in your Facebook group. I love your Facebook group, FYI. I bought your planner, all of those things. Yet I wasn't clear what you did.
Yes.
It's so unclear to me. Like, I get the recovering perfectionist. I get the philosophy behind that. And I think it's worked brilliantly to, what's the word? to when you started that Facebook group, you started the podcast and you claimed that Recovering Perfectionist title, I think that had a huge impact on just framing you and framing your brand, your personality, the vibe of you. But then I think what got lost in that process is actually what you do.
Yeah, the outcomes and
the
yes,
transformations that you create. And I know because I have worked with you how amazing you are at what you do. So, and I think that's fine. Like, this is an evolution, and that was what you needed to do then. But I think you've done that really well. And now it's time to bring it back to building Claire's empire and business.
Yes, exactly.
And how we, you know, how the Recovering Perfectionist actually works in reality.
Yes, interesting. And like I said, I have had a lot of people who have said, either from like from the networking group that I run, or having looked at my website, like, it's really pretty and we really like coming to the networking, but we still don't really know what you do. And I'm like, shit, I thought it was all on my website, but it wasn't even on my website, sort of thing. So I've hopefully, you know, buffed that up. But yes, I definitely, the messaging has been a process to get to. And like I said, last year, I've literally just said it was an awesome experience. I tried things that didn't work. I tried things that did work. I got really clear on what I do and don't want to do in the future. And now it's about kind of consolidating that. And also for me, I guess, having the confidence to say, this is what I do. This is what I don't do. If I don't do that stuff, I'll tell you someone who does, but that's not me anymore. And having, sort of the confidence to do that. But it's definitely a process, and I'm much more okay with the fact that it's a process, but I'm glad that I'm at the end of the process now and I can actually start implementing it all.
Yeah, so it's perfect timing, I think, and perfect timing that we've had this conversation as well, because I think that it's all there. The business model's there. It's got multiple things to it, but it's all connected.
Yes.
And that's, you know, that's a big first step, because a lot of people, and I've been there as well, don't even have that central defining point of that makes all of the products and services make sense, and make sense for one, you know, perfect client to move through all of those products and services, rather than buying one thing and then never buying another thing because nothing else is relevant to them. So I think that's really important. So just coming back to your question though about the second podcast, I feel like you have enough on your plate.
Yes. Now I do, now that I've got a plan.
If you're writing a book and you're wanting to, you know, repurpose, and, you know, you may do the podcast series first or you may do the book first. I don't know, what it will depend on what your process is, but because they're kind of similar content that you'll use for each different platform, that's a lot. And, you know, you've got a family and all of those things. So I guess I would sort of say, don't plan on starting a second one. I think that the content that you're wanting to talk about, you could do the odd episode on your show and, you know, give it a name. Like, I often now, because I've got so many episodes, I categorize them. So they're categorized on my website, and I also will put in brackets at the start or the end of the title the categories. So this type of episode is called a live coaching call, and I have, you know, interviews with product-based businesses or interviews with podcasters, for example. This could just be your mums in biz, or, you know, mum life.
Subcategory sort of thing.
Yeah. And if it becomes bigger or gets to the point where you think, do you know what, the message is so separate, it needs to be its own thing, then fine. But I think just experiment with it on your own show and see what happens. But I think we've just given you like 12 episode content. So you don't have to do them 1 week after the other. You can intersperse them with, you know, the interviews that you're already doing, or if you do decide to do the coaching call concept, then that's a good, you know, you could intersperse those as well and link them back. So if you did a coaching call and you ended up focusing on pillar 2, 4, and 6 of the 12, then it's a really good thing to be able to say in the intro of the episode. Like, we really dig into 2, 3, and 6. So definitely go back to episodes where I talk individually about those things. And that as well is doing the job of keeping people in your content longer and keeping people, you know, in their ears longer.
Yeah. Yay.
Cool.
Go away and create these things.
Yay. Oh, that's exciting. So I think we got there on both.
Yes.
So that's good. Yes. Well, thank you, Claire. Thank you so much for being brave and sharing all on my show. I'm so stoked to have you. You're like one of my dream people to have. So tell us, how can people connect with you if they want to explore Claire's world further?
Excellent. Yeah, I guess the easiest way, having talked about call to actions, I should have had something more articulate, but bit.ly/the Recovering Perfectionists will take you to my Facebook group, and we can connect there and take it from there, I suppose.
Perfect. And yeah, I love that group. So definitely come and join Claire's group. Yay. It's so much fun. Thank you, my love. And thanks so much for joining me, being part of the show. And I can't wait to hear what happens next.
Me too. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this live coaching call with Claire. It was really a strategy conversation that I think is so relevant to all of us, whether we're podcasters or not, thinking about our content, that really the free content that sits at the top of our funnel, and being really clear on how we want it to drive people into our business, what action we want them to take. So I hope you've enjoyed today's show. I did want to, before I let you go, just have a quick chat to you about an event that's coming up in May that I'll be speaking at and I'm incredibly excited about, and that is the Artful Business Conference. If you have followed me for over a year, you will know that I have been, the last 2 years, I was a speaker last year. I'm a big fan of this event, and my biz bestie and co-host on Lady Boss Chats, Elle Roberts, is the founder and host of this event. It's been going, this is its 5th year, so Elle knows how to put on a fantastic event. It has just amazing feedback every single year, testimonials. There are people that have been coming every single year. That is the type of following it has. You know, it's hard. It's a risk to make a decision to invest money and time and travel and all of those things to go to an event if you don't know, you can't trust that you're going to get the outcome that you want. But when you look at Artful Business Conference, you can see that people are coming back year after year for 5 years now. I think that is just advertisement enough for how much people get from the event. I will be there. I will be doing a keynote, sharing 7 secrets and habits of empire builders. I'm really excited about that. And I'm also presenting 2 workshops. One will be on rocking the podcast as a host and a guest, and the other workshop I'm co-delivering with Elle, and we have developed an influencer map framework, bringing our 2 sets of skills together around personal branding, but we come at it from obviously 2 quite different perspectives and directions, and we've brought that together to create this holistic framework on building your influence in a way that makes sense for your style and personality. So we are so excited about that. I'll also be part of the VIP day, which is a half day on the Monday, so the day after the conference, where myself and Elle and 2 of the other keynote speakers will be facilitating a half day, really just to work with you as a small group. If you're a VIP, I think there's less than 5 VIP tickets left. I decided after, which conference was it? I think it was after Artful last year. It was after We Are Podcast. I decided that I would only ever attend conferences as a VIP now, if that was the option, because I just think the opportunities you get to network with the speakers, to network in smaller groups and things like that is just so vital and beneficial. So I would love love to see you at Artful. If you can't attend in person in Brisbane, it is streamed live virtually. And I know that the virtual girls have so much fun. You have your own room where you can chat, you get to see everything that's going on, and the vibe of Artful carries over to the virtual room, which I know if you've never watched a virtual live stream before can be hard to believe, but it's absolutely true. Now, I will put the link to where you can go to check out more about Artful in the show notes, but just Google Artful Business Conference. I would love to see you there. Just hit me up on email or Twitter or Facebook Messenger if you're wondering if it's really for you, if you're wondering if it's right for your stage of business. I'm happy to have a chat to you about an honest chat about whether it is the right thing and right timing for you. But I would love to see you there. If you are coming, please let me know. I'm so excited to be flying up to Brisbane for 5 days to just really hang out with artful people and spend time on mine and your businesses. So please, hope you'll be there and let me know if you're coming. Otherwise, I'll be back next week with the solo episode that I promised you. Have a good one, Empire Builder.
We've loved contributing to your empire building today. Please share us with a fellow empire builder so that we can help them too. Remember, hashtag 100K Empire Army. Thank you to Luke at The Wellness Pro for production and editing, to all of our guests, and to you, our most important empire building listeners. You should also check out my other podcast, hashtag Ladyboss Chats, where Elle Roberts and I chat all things Lady Boss life. We feel like you've just pulled up a cozy armchair with your biz bestie. Find us in your favourite podcast app or at theladybossproject.com.